I apologize.
And like stated before, this is Morgan's opinion. The rest of us mods
Yes.
are
We
the
have our own
origin.
opinions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have our
Okay.
own
Yeah.
opinion,
No.
and the majority of us
Listen.
is
Listen.
HBCUs
Listen.
They
grad,
have
but this is
opinions, but these
Morgan's
are
opinion.
also people that I moderated because they
We were
give
here
me a
from the
sense
Yeah,
of
we
beginning of
was
the
here
safety.
at the
conversation.
beginning.
They
Are
give
the
me a
original
But
they
I
give me a
will
sense of
say
representation.
though,
safety.
as moderators, some people's opinions change as this conversation went
Mm-hmm.
on.
Agreed, Ria.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
My opinion changed completely, and I'm gonna sit back and just listen some more because,
But
again, from an outside person looking in, I learned a lot.
go ahead, Terrell. Finish up what you had to say, though.
I was just saying we're under black people in general. I wasn't speaking to Morgan specifically. I was saying black people in general. We're all under this situation, a hindrance and oppression, and having a family squabble in public does not solve that. Malcolm X said that. You never have a family squabble in public. And this is pretty much what this is. So I'm just asking from the bottom of my heart that we can find more constructive ways to make these unification efforts, or at least to make some type of different situation. Like if you want Howard people to submit or to come and have a conversation, or find out how we can come to some conclusion, it doesn't have to come at the end of disrespect. You understand? Because if I would have said something about somebody else HBCU in here, you feel me, it would have been taken as disrespect. People would have found out that I went to Howard immediately and tried to either fire me up or get on Twitter and have this discussion again, and we would have never had the real conversations that need to be had. So
What are
all
the
I'm
real
saying is,
discussions that need to be had? Because I know one that ain't none of y'all trying to have. So what's going on?
no, wait. I've
Tell
got
him,
one.
Morgan.
Wait. I got one. I want to see rights established for the LGBTQIA communities at HBCUs. As a DJ, I was always upset that I could never really have my gay, trans, lesbian, intersex, ev- all my friends couldn't feel comfortable having a space where they can party and have everybody else come there. They always felt that they had to go do the things that they said the straights was doing. So for me personally, I would love, I would put out any type of party, any type of mixtape to come bring those people in here to come bridge that gap, because I'm tired of seeing the situation not work out for everybody. So let's have all the conversations. Let's open it up. But the Howard is the PWI is not a conversation. It's not a
Mm.
Hey,
conversation. It don't need to be had.
Fact.
What are you going to gain from it?
Well, I'm gonna say this. I don't think all these people would be in the room if the title was different.
that's true.
That's fine.
See,
But let's take care of that on that side. You feel me? It disrespecting Howard people and then having
I'm not
another conversation.
disrespecting Howard people. If you disrespected by that, then you need to really channel and
But see,
interrogate
okay, but
why
no, but Morgan, though,
you
you have to
felt.
understand why people are taking it as disrespect because, like somebody said before, like, why are we equating PWI to the pinnacle of greatness? Like, we shouldn't have to compare HBCU to a PW just because it's a great school and, they have their connections or whatever. We don't have to connect that with a predominantly white institution. It's black
And
excellence in its own right.
it
However,
all.
again, to my first
Sorry,
point,
Brittany.
that is Morgan's opinion, and she is entitled to said opinion.
Yeah.
And it also like erases, well, what somebody said before, it also kind of erases the historic part of HBCUs and what make it so special about it. But again, like Brittany said, it is Morgan's opinion. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, even though most of us do not agree with it. We will, in this professional aspect and in this environment with over 500 people in it, we will agree to disagree and most likely keep using this platform to educate ourselves and probably find a solution.
Okay, can someone?
So,
Does
Aviva, you're
anybody
next.
agree with
After,
it?
did everybody
Uh,
agree with what?
Savant's not going.
No,
Someone
Savant
is.
is
Savant
I'm
going
is
here.
first,
gone.
and then Aviva.
Okay.
Really quick, just speaking about solutions. I apologize, guys, but someone just inboxed me on Twitter and said, if anyone is interested in solutions and giving spare change to your HBCU, this app was actually started by a Howard alumni, and it is iheartmyhbcu.org. So if anyone wants to invest in any HBCU as well as your own, if you are not a Howard alumni, I think that's a great plug.
Thank you, Sin.
Please go, Savant.
Savant.
Good afternoon. Yeah, obviously, the title is what brought me in as a history degree undergrad from Howard University. It disheartened me because even as a businessman, I never compared myself to a Jeff Bezos. I want to be Mansa Musa, who was actually the richest man in the world, who was African. So that got me, and I thought I was a foster kid. The first time I went to a dentist was because of Howard University, and I got my teeth fixed there. The first time I learned how to swim was because Howard University, it was a requirement for me to be in the College of Arts and Science. And with me learning how to swim, one day I became a black ranger in the United States Army, and the first day is a swimming test. Also, people talk about Howard University Hospital, but when I was still that foster kid mindset and in the streets when someone from DC tried to kill me, Howard University is the hospital that saved my life. And it's also the hospital that's saving people's lives through COVID. It became the DC General Hospital of that city. So it's like the title, it really hurt us. And I also want to just let you know, even me as a Christian conservative and my homeboy that just spoke, Tara, we are pushing your cause, Morgan. So I want you not to know, like, there are people in black spaces that are speaking to people of power and that's pushing for you to have a voice too. So I hate that someone took you out, but I want you to be encouraged that we're people in spaces that are practicing black nepotism. I don't care if you went to Howard. I don't care if you went to a PWI. If you're black, if you're trans, whatever, we're gonna support you. So I want you to just know that. But like the title, it hurt me. But you do got power because there's another room I'm about to go to, and the president of Howard University is speaking right now. So I just thank you for having this space, and know that right now it's gonna be tricky because we continue to have black conversations in white spaces. So you will get critiques because people will think that we should criticize in private and give praise in public. So it's just a difficult time to be in. But you're right. Without this title, we wouldn't have had those conversations. And for the last two for solutions, I encourage everyone, anybody that's in your family in high school, send them to commonblackapp.com. It's $20 and you get to apply for 59 colleges. Also, any of those that call themselves having privilege, make sure that you talk to athletes. We just got two of the top volleyball athletes in Houston. They're going to Howard University. We just got the brother to go to Howard University basketball team. And lastly, make sure that you give back. Give back. I've been giving back since I was a junior. I threw parties. To this day, I paid people's tuition anonymously, giving back. If you're an alumni, make sure that you give back to your university. When I was there, it was like 4%, and we grew it to 9%. Spelman is actually the HBCU that has the highest at 36% of alumni giving back. And that's another conversation that we have to have. No matter what level that you get, that you arrive to, make sure that you lift as you climb. Thank you for this space. Know that we love you, Morgan. Bobby, please, if you hire someone, when you look at their application, I would just encourage you, if they went to your university, hire them and train them. Because, like, unfortunately, I went to a coding boot camp, became a software engineer. I'm 20 black people out of 1,000 engineers. If we don't practice internal referrals, we'll never change industries. So thank y'all. Peace.
Thank you, Savant.
It's great.
Thank
Aviva.
you, Savant.
Okay.
Aviva, it's finally your turn, girl. Go ahead, shine.
I've been waiting patiently, but Morgan, I just want to first touch on base. I don't want to invalidate any experience that you've had as a Black trans woman in any space. I think to say that Howard University needs to do more is an understatement. I think all Black spaces need to do more, just making sure that we respect the trans community and give back. And I'm not here to defend Howard. Like, I already know it's a societal issue, but I don't think that you bringing that up is problematic. I do think the title is problematic simply because there's no HBCU that can be a PWI, simply because historically we know Howard was created, to give back people a safe space. And then PWIs, the network that we have here, we think it's big because we don't have that. But PWIs, all of them have great networks, and white people themselves, they have great networks. Asian people, they have great networks. So to kind of, I think Howard is just an easy target, and I think that this is misplaced, like blame, where the government is involved with funding, instead of focusing on Howard as the HBCU that we can get down on. I think that it's important that we try and find ways to allocate this frustration that we have and make sure that we're giving a little bit more attention to how to build HBCUs. The Howard Network is as it is because every Howard student earns their degree. No one gets it easily. And we work hard. And when we see other people in those spaces, we want to make sure that we get there. And I think that the best way to do this is to try and understand each other instead of feel like, I'm assuming that you made this because you felt I can't really understand what you felt. What was the reasoning behind choosing Howard? But I think that there's space to listen to one another, but also come with solutions. And I'm not hearing what you really want Howard to do. I'm not understanding really where you're coming from. Is like, what can we do to support HBCUs? We're not the reason other HBCUs are in bad positions. So what can we do to uplift other HBCUs? Because right now you're not uplifting us. And I think that the best thing we can do is hear each other. So if you can give us any type of way where you think that Howard can rise to the level and be the standard and help other HBCUs rise up, I'd prefer to hear, your reasoning on that instead of, trying to dim us down because it's not going to make anyone shine brighter.
Thank you for your comments. I'm not gonna comment until we done with everybody speaking. Janae.
Hey y'all. Thank you. I've been patiently waiting. Not doing this scope of work that I'm supposed to be doing, but we ain't gonna talk about that. I am a Hampton alum. I haven't heard anybody from Hampton University speaking here, and so I just want to say, like, obviously, like everybody else said, I came because of the title as well, just because that's just the nature of Hampton and Howard, right? We have this huge history of a relationship, like, oh, Hampton is the real HU, no, Howard's the real HU. But with that being said, I would always support anybody from any HBCUs. And just to reiterate, the number one point is that this is not 100% a Black space. So I don't even think that could be said enough. We have to always uplift each other when we know other people is watching, even when we feel emotionally about a specific issue ourselves. You know what I mean? So it's like, Morgan, you feel how emotionally about how trans and just gay people in general, queer people in general, are not accepted in the Black community, and I would love to help and be a part of that, because I know how hard it is. I don't know exactly your specific story, but I can understand how hard that is to navigate any type of space that you might be in. And I have a podcast, Rich Vibes and Overdrafts, that I move into creating guests next season. And I would love to have you as a guest, Morgan, to try to bring more attention to trans people in the Black community in general. And I think as a community, we just gotta uplift each other. You know what I mean? Like, anybody could send me their resume right now, and I swear to God, I will submit it to my job. Anybody that's on here, I work aside. I'm a comedian and an actress, but aside from that, I work at an advertising agency. I used to work at Publicis Worldwide. Now I work at FCB Worldwide. So if anybody is interested in any type of advertising, please send me your resume, because if you Black, I'm recommended you. You know what I'm saying? And what Bobby was saying earlier, I ain't gonna recommend you just because you went to Hampton or Howard. It don't matter. I go based off of credentials. So that's the first thing is Black, and then the second thing is credentials for me. So of course I'm gonna want to recommend you because you're from Hampton, but if somebody from Morgan got better credentials, then I'm gonna have to go with them. And I don't think it's not because I don't love Hampton. It's because at the end of the day, I want to make sure I'm uplifting Black people, one, and I want to make sure I'm also reflecting my personal brand. And as Black people, we cannot just put people on because they are Black if they are not qualified. And that's the thing that we have to remember. If you want to put somebody on that's from your school, they're not qualified, help them. Don't just give them the job because they went to Hampton or they went to Howard. Give them the credentials that they need to be successful at the job and to also reflect properly upon yourself as well. You know what I mean? Because you don't want nobody out there making you look crazy. And I hope that we can come together. I love this room because it's making me feel like I'm back at school. I love talking to my people, to educated Black people. You know what I'm saying? We just got to spread the wealth and encourage other people to do the same. And I don't think there's anything that Howard itself, I think Howard is already doing their job, right? They're already doing things to try to give back to Black people, to try to give back to the community, and whatever the case may be. And as some people mentioned earlier, we got to take other factors into consideration of why Howard is as big as it is. You know what I'm saying? Location, alumni, government, grants. Schools that are in smaller towns don't have all that. And we can't come at the students because of that. That's just the resource in the institution itself. But what other people were saying, what we can do as alumni is give back or just speak up in general. You know what I'm saying? Like me personally, I've never financially gave back to Hampton because I always felt like I was struggling myself. But I have given back to Hampton University and other HBCU alumni as well, just by mentorship. Through mentorship, young people, if an intern at my job, they Black, I automatically hit them up. Yo, what school you go to? How can I help you be here? I know you're not directly reporting to me, but what can I do for you? How can I be of service to you? And I think we just need to do that in all of the spaces that we're in and just continue to network across.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Janae.
Janae. Real
Thank you,
quick,
Janae.
damn, y'all kicked her off the stage so
I
fast.
know I
I was
did. I'm sorry. I'm
I was
moving on.
about to say because she did put in a job plug for anybody in the audience. I was trying to figure out what's the best way to communicate with her to send the resume for anybody that needs a job, but that's
All
gone
right,
I
now.
can
I'll
add
bring her
her.
back. I'll bring her
I can
back. I'll
add
bring
her
her
on
back.
Instagram. She looked pretty active on Instagram. So
Yeah,
I
I
can
mean
put
her
her
Instagram and her
Instagram.
Twitter are logged into her bio, so just figure out how y'all want to DM her the resume. But she did put in a job plug, so if anybody's looking for a job in
Yeah.
advertising, hit up Janae. Go ahead, Sarah. It's your floor.
Okay. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Sarah. I'm a current Howard student. I recently just transferred in. I just kind of just wanted to. I had a quick question, but before I ask my question, I just wanted to. I just needed someone to kind of clear this off for me. So, with me, with my experience when it comes to HBCU, I would say when I was in high school, um, I've always wanted to go to an HBCU. So the issue was not Howard at that point. The issue was why did I want to go to an HBCU? And why would I want to go to HBCU if I already went? Like, why do I want to be around a whole bunch of Black people when we forget that the world is white, right? I've literally heard this before. I've also, and then, so then when I decided that I wanted to go to Howard, it also I usually get two response. It's either, oh, great, you go to Howard, or it's either, you go to Howard. And I never really understood why is that a problem, because I feel like if we want to better serve our community and help our community, right? Shouldn't we be more tightened together, even if there is quote unquote school rivalry and things like that? Because those are normal too, right? But I don't think it should be a issue where it's like we have to put down another school to better ourselves, if that makes sense. Um, but my question was, how, as an undergrad or a current student at my HBCU, besides having these type of conversations, how can we better help, like create more spaces and more opportunities for other students who go to other HBCUs too, besides Howard, so that we can not have these issues and we can get past this and actually grow and focus on the most important thing, and which is helping the Black community.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate your opinion.
Um,
We got
KK.
Candace from the Real Housewives in the audience too. Y'all want to try to bring her up?
Candace Dillard.
Yeah, I sent her an invite up. It's up to her to accept it. But I want to hear
Yeah.
from someone, with a lot of.
I
Miss
don't want to hear from
Candace.
Candace like that. You can bring her out.
Miss Candace, if you like, please send a request.
Oh,
We can add you
No, she
up.
followed me
But
on Instagram. She cool. You can bring her out.
that's fine. Well, we figured that out. KK.
KK.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey everybody, hello. My name is
hi.
KK. I'm from Philly, West Philly to be exact, but I rep all of Philly because that's my city. Moving on, I wanted to touch on two things in particular and wanted to offer a perspective from the outside looking in because, mind you, I graduated from high school 29, class of 2019, and I applied to a lot of colleges, but Howard was my dream school and still is my dream school. I applied twice, got denied twice, but that didn't stop me because, I was like, I'm just keep being persistent. But the one thing that I noticed is that even though, like, yeah, black nepotism is a thing, it also can, block the opportunities and the chances of a student like me who's from an inner city, who is poor, who is trying to make it out and just, make a living and pursue my dream. What I noticed is that about the admissions office specifically, is that people pull strings for athletes and upper echelon kids. I mean, as they should, but like only for like I noticed that a lot of those kids leave next year, and I'm just from the outside looking in, like it's frustrating because on paper I'm a great student, and I have talent that I want to share and contribute to Howard and also just the world period. And so it's frustrating look out and see that. And so I got up here before I went to touch on the next thing. Before I went to touch on the next thing, I got up here. If any Howard alum on the panel or just in the audience period could like be of help to me, because in the past the HU alum that I've met through my church and just through the hood period always met me with grace, and I want to be met with that same grace here. Moving on, I wanted to touch on another thing. I also really dislike the fact that when Morgan talks about her experience as a black trans woman in the entertainment industry and as a black trans woman in the HBCU experience, everyone's just dismissive of it. It's like, oh, that's your opinion. Oh, this is like just your experience. No, that is fact. Any black space is inherently transphobic when trans people are not sitting at the tables when these spaces are being created. And I don't know why it's so hard for some people to understand. I don't know if it's because you're not trans and it's just you can't understand it, or you're just blatantly transphobic. But I don't like it because when has the last time you seen a black trans woman? Please tell me the last time you seen a black trans woman make line for an AKA or a Delta? Or when's the last time you see a black trans woman elected into the royal court? And not to say that these institutions within our institutions are the pinnacle of notoriety and the success for black trans people, because again, let me remind you that black trans and queer people have made our own spaces dating back to the 60s, i.e. the ballroom community, Vogan and stuff like that. So it's not like we need we need your validation from cis hetero spaces, but it's just like at the same token, you're saying you're dismissing her experience, and in that turn, you're dismissing every other trans and queer person's experience at an HBCU, and it's like you're the whole. I feel like throughout this my time being on this room, people have been wanting to help each other out, but it's like you need to start. I just feel like there needs to be a start with helping trans and queer people, but specifically black trans women at HBCUs, because it's just very frustrating for me to see and hear and listen to grown people try to dismiss someone's experience when it is very valid and it is fact. And so the fact, and I can't, I'm not even going to talk about the fact that it's already hard enough for black trans women as it is just on a regular, but I can't even fathom Morgan's experience or her story when dealing with black people in these spaces like that. So what I would want from this right now is, for one, to connect with some alum, and also for the cis hetero, and not just the cis hetero, because it's not just cis hetero people upholding these spaces. It's also a lot of cisgender gay people who get in there and don't really help out. I want everyone to start looking out for your black trans and queer siblings, and let that be the start of the change that we so wish to happen. Um, thank you. That is my piece. That's all I have to say. Thank you all.
Thank you, KK.
Thank you,
Right.
KK.
Is it Maya?
It's Mia. Thank you.
Yeah. Go
Uh,
ahead.
First, I want to start off by affirming Morgan and reaffirming what KK just said, and that we know that transphobia at HBCUs is a huge problem, and I definitely think that like this entire conversation that's been happening over the last hour or so has only reaffirmed how much of a problem that is, because I do think that there have been people that in their rush to talk about the name and some of the stuff that's being said have overlooked that issue. So I want to just go ahead and say that to kind of clear the palate. What I actually wanted to just address really quickly, though, before I go, was the fact that we have to have conversations that are rooted in reality if we want to be able to move forward with any of the changes that we want to implement across the board. So an example of that is Morgan's statement about HBCUs being transphobic or homophobic. That is a factual truth. Like that cannot be changed. That's not an opinion. That is a straight up, like, that is a thing that happens. And so a response to that is also rooted in reality is to say that there has been increasing support over the last couple of years for people to for LGBTQ students at HBCUs. There are organizations that are trying to actually do this work to increase the presence of LGBTQIA students at HBCUs and to get HBCUs in a place where they can actually be more inclusive of these students. So it's not to say that you have to be on defense mode when someone says something like that, because that work is already being done. And I think all that trans people and LGBTQ people are trying to do is get people to uplift that actual work that is happening across campuses around the country, but particularly at some of the quote unquote elite HBCUs like Howard, like Morgan, like Spelman, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't want to invalidate that, but I also want to go back to a different example of when we were talking about like the fellowships and endowments earlier. Again, talking about conversations that are rooted in reality, someone was mentioning that, Howard should be giving some of his resources or money to other HBCUs. That is already a thing that happens. Howard does have consortiums with other HBCUs in the DC area. Howard does do partnerships with other HBCUs and does try to bring other HBCUs to the table to have conversations like this to make sure that everybody is getting what they need. But Howard is only one school. You have, again, schools like Morehouse and Spelman. There's an AUC, like that is a consortium. So within the AUC, you have smaller HBCUs. So I think like when we're having these discussions while people get impassioned and things like that, they have to be rooted in facts and reality and truths and things that are actually happening. And that just, if you're going to get on here and say something that you can do a 2-second Google and find out that like, oh, someone is doing this work, then like, let's try and do that work beforehand so that we can spend more of our time in these spaces actually uplifting what is going on and not just throwing out like, I wish this was a thing when that thing is already occurring. And that
Thank
is my
you,
time.
Mia. Thank you, Mia. Trioma?
I think it's Kioma.
Kioma, I'm sorry.
Oh, but she.
Where
Okay,
did
there she
she
goes.
go? Kioma?
Kioma. Kioma girl.
I'm so sorry, y'all. I left by accident. I don't know how to use this app that much. I am so sorry. Wow. It's Chioma.
Chioma. Okay, go
I
ahead,
just
girl.
had like a couple points I want to touch on. So like I wanted to touch on the point of like I know some people were discussing, I've been waiting for a while. So somebody had discussed, like, when applying to Howard is kind of like, oh, great, Howard. But if you bring up another HBCU, it's kind of like a point of confusion, or why would you pick that and not probably one of the top three, Howard, Spelman, Morehouse, depending on who you are. And I also want to bring up the fact that it depends on where you come from. A lot of people are knowledgeable about these top HBCUs, but a lot of people are not. When I applied, so I'm a grad of Howard University. I graduated class of 2019, but I am also currently a PhD student as well. Um, when I applied to Howard, part of my family was kind of like, I come from a Caribbean background, and it's like, why? And this is, though Howard may not have been as prominent as it is today, given the circumstances, it was still a top HBCU. And people in my family looked at it as, that's a Black school. That's not reality. That does not equate to what you're going to experience in the real world. A lot of us now know that, that's not always the case. We've lived through it. We graduated. So we understand like HBCUs make us stronger. So I say that to say, this title, like a lot of people said, sometimes it's kind of confusing, but Howard being the PWI of HBCUs, of course, I would have to disagree as a Howard alum. But getting to the main issue, I feel as if is being discussed is the mannerisms and the behavior of students, not only at Howard, but at HBCUs towards the LGBTQ plus community. I feel like that's the true conversation of this room, personally. Um,
Yes.
I'm just gonna say that. But I do feel as if like it starts from the community within. Let's be honest. The relationship between people, heterosexual people, and the LGBT community, LGBTQ plus community, is a societal issue. This is a societal issue that we are all coming from different points of life going to these HBCUs. I have friends from Ohio, friends from Cali, friends from Africa that are coming from different walks of life with different opinions, different broughtopsies, as my family would call it, and they have different intentions when it does come to the LGBTQ plus community. They don't understand it. Some don't respect it. Let's be real. When we get into these spaces now, people are forced to get introduced to these things that they never knew about. And not saying that they all should have or shouldn't be open-minded or should change their point of views, but now this forces people into a space where they have to look at things differently. Is everybody receptive? No. This is still something we're working on as time goes. And I forgot who was speaking before me, but somebody also mentioned the work that has to be done within these communities, within these universities. It starts with building those organizations. I personally am not a part of the LGBTQ plus community, and I don't really have that many friends that are part of it or were part of organizations at Howard. But if I did, I definitely would support them. I would promote their pages, promote whatever they got going on to make sure that it gets out there. So Morgan, I know you were discussing like your difficulty with the entertainment realm as far as it goes as being a trans woman. And first of all, I salute you as being a trans woman and stepping into that entertainment realm, knowing how hard it is. I know it's difficult being a Black trans woman at that, but at the same time, we got to go to our HBCUs and say, listen, we need an organization that supports me. If that means we need the LGBTQ plus community club or organization specifically for the entertainment realm, that's what needs to be done. So the work is inside out. And it's not just Howard, it's not just Tennessee State, it's not just Morgan State, it's all of them. And if you got to get a nationwide organization, then that's what needs to be done. But this is not a 1, 2, 3 conversation. This is a conversation about what's next. Like, that's the only thing I can see that can help promote. Because if people are not aware and not knowledgeable about the issues, they're not going to respond. They're not going to know. I didn't even think about this conversation. When I clicked on this, I did not expect this to be the conversation being had. But I am happy that this is the conversation being had because it's brought myself to the awareness of the injustices that do exist in that realm. I'm not in the entertainment industry, but if I do see things, I will definitely try and help that community. And that's kind of all I had to say. HU, you know.
You know,
Thank you, Chioma.
You know.
Okay.
may I rejoin? I know.
Me,
Hold
you
on,
have to go last, honey, because
briefly, and then
you
me.
was working.
Yeah, I was on since 10:35, and my meeting started 11:30. But you know, I ain't
Okay,
gonna say
well,
nothing. Okay,
we
hold
gonna
on,
let
Vic. Hold on,
we'll
Vic.
let Priestley go first, and then you can go after her.
Thank you. I love Priestley. HU16.
Right? I'm like, we know each other. We family. So I just want to say, like, just off the bat, like, affirming the community. I consider myself a member of the LGBTQ plus community. And I know I see outright how the trans community is treated within that community as kind of like the lower part of the barrel, but like I don't stand for that. I'm with all the moves, and I tried to be an advocate or at least open the door for those people. So I feel you on that, and it's definitely an awareness that especially the Black community needs to be aware of. So that's that. So Priestley Johnson, I'm like a proud Howard alumni. I want to talk a little bit more about solution-oriented things on maybe some tips that other HBCUs can really use to help build that community that Chioma spoke about. I know the first time I was going to make a decision between two schools, Howard being one of them. The first time I encountered a Howard alumni, she was like, what school are you going to? And I was like, Howard. And she picked me up off the floor and spin me around, this young kid, impressionable, and was so happy for me. She started teaching me our flag dance, our band dances. And I was so overjoyed at the opportunity to be a part of that. And that was every single occurrence I had with the Howard alumni to this day is like that. It gives me that same feeling. So my advice, because I like to be really solution oriented. We're not gonna like talk about like I the problems, and I get it, and we've already kind of hashed that out. But like if you're interested in getting more perspective about like what that Howard experience is like and building that community and grit, I actually wrote an article that's in the Howard Bison Beat. That's in the link in my bio. That's in my Instagram. So go to my like Instagram and then go to the link in the bio. It's also featured in my Instagram. But basically, my
biggest parts of solution is that we need to consider the entire when you're building community amongst your own HBCU, go back to them. Like, are you going on campus to help put kids up on game? Like that, I do that every semester. I go back to campus. I'm still in DC, and I go to a political science class and I talk to these kids about what they can do to make their resume great. I open my email to them. They can email me at any time, and I am a voice to them. I currently work for Mrs. Obama, and so I open opportunities. Every intern that I have is a Howard student. Like every single one I've ever had in my entire life is a Howard student. Like I continuously open these doors. I see a lot of other Howard alumni create like Instagram lives, just putting people up on game. Like the struggle is not a thing anymore. Like nobody needs to struggle, and I think that's the thing. So I would also say, like, to our some people that are not feeling that sense of community, or feel as though like Howard has that network that you don't see replicated in your own community, I say, first of all, we are pretty nice people. And I think that same kind-heartedness is the thing that allows you to develop that community. Another thing that I do is I use my job as a stepping point to make Mrs. Obama. And I said, all right, like this is my mission. So I took my own time. I took my own patience sometimes working with the university. And I said, this is what we're going to do. Here's the plan. People were open and willing. And we made like a splash out of it, because that's what improving the looks of your university looks like. It takes alumni that have dedication to your university to go back and say, here's an opportunity that my university should be at the table for, and therefore I'm gonna do the extra work. I'm gonna shake hands and kiss babies to make sure that you get the recognition that you're looking for. And a lot of it, money is great, and I think money is like lovely, but I don't know if you guys remember, Howard during 2012 to 2014 was not seen in a really great light. We were broke. We were having a lot of scandals. There was so much stuff going on. And so I just want to also say, like, marketing and resources and elevation can even turn the tide for organizations and universities. And then lastly, my last kind of solution-oriented thing is just to say, keep in touch with your networks. Every job opportunity that comes my way, I drop it in the Howard chat that I have. Whether people respond or like it or not, at least I did it. Everything that I think people should be aware of, I go back to that group. I'm also still in touch with my my young babies that I help mentor on campus. And so I'm in that group chat of even younger ones, and I'm like, hey guys, here's an internship. So I would say foster those connections. And honestly, it really starts with you. Like, the pride that Howard people have is something that starts in you. If you want to have pride in your university, I think that's something that has to start in you, and you can be proud. Put it on your bio. It's in my bios. It's in everything that I do, because I do believe that my money, first of all, my money, period, like, I feel like my money should be valued at a certain place. And so therefore, I'm going to make sure that that place appreciates in value, so that I can make sure that it is successful, because I want my degree to mean something. I want people to look back and say, oh yeah, the VP, it is a Howard alumni, and that means something. And it's not a slight to other communities. It's saying I am proud of what I have, and I'm saying, like, you should be proud of it too. And honestly, every time that I think one thing that as a community of Howard people we can do better is even learn more about other HBCUs. I think that honestly, if you were to ask me right now, name 10 HBCUs, I don't know if I would be able to, because that was my decision. I knew what I wanted to do, and it wasn't something that was questionable to me. So I would say, like, learn more about other HBCUs, learn more about their culture, and don't be as dismissive as sometimes we can be. I am not gonna shy away. Like, we are very proud people. We love our culture. We love our people, but we also love you, and we love Black people in general. So I just want to leave it as that. I'm always down for a solution-oriented conversation about how we can uplift Black people as a whole. And community is really, really important to us as people, as well as our university. And I would just say, like, this room is, if you are a Howard alumni, like, this room is an Mbangi. Like, this is the way that we learn. A room without walls is what it is a way that we can learn more about ourselves and also be able to help others. So I definitely, if you guys want to talk additionally, I'm open to it. But I really appreciate Morgan for starting this room, also being incredibly transparent and vulnerable, because that's what's up. And
dang, Priestley, you took everything I was gonna say. I was gonna try to come in here and give some encouragement,
well, you was
but
trying
y'all
to
made me
go
go
last, so I
last.
had to hit him with the hitters. You
Oh
feel me?
my lord, I was trying to come in and
Damn.
save the conversation, girl, but you touched on everything, so I feel like I don't have nothing else to say.
You've been waiting this whole hour and you don't know what to say. First of
Well,
all,
no.
I'm about to literally, I'm gonna message you on Instagram, by the way. I feel like we should connect, but yeah.
Oh, damn.
Wow, he left.
He left. Damn. I thought
Well,
he could
thank
have
you,
still
Priestley.
wrapped it up. Thank you, Priestley.
Thank you, Priestley.
Oh, there he
Oh
is.
wait, no, he came back.
Oh,
Oh, there you go.
hey, Meech. I'm gonna let you go.
Girl, I don't know. Somebody sent me an invitation and I pressed the button. I don't know. I just joined this app yesterday. Thank you to
Come
PA.
on, get it together, party
It's
hat.
okay if you was going to your freak room, Meech. It's
Oh,
okay.
see, Morgan, look, I came to support you. I came to support you. Okay,
Mm-mm.
well, thank you guys. First of all, let me say thank you for the opportunity to speak because I did join approximately 2 hours ago, and I did hear most of the conversation until my 11:30 work meeting. But Morgan, I do want to thank you for being so transparent and honest because you did double down on a few of your statements, and I commend you. I would actually recommend you for a reality TV show the way you doubled down on it so hard. And I feel as if it's remiss for us to discuss your representation in the entertainment industry because I feel as if we discounted your experience as a trans woman, is like we discount a lot of our experiences as African Americans in this country because like each one of our experiences have not been easy because I can speak for myself as a Howard graduate. I am a first generation college student. I am the first one to be involved in entertainment and then just to be as transparent as I can with you, it takes a lot of mental work to be, I think, a Howard graduate because not even just Howard in general, it's just HBCU because we're already with the mentality that we have to be better and do better. And sometimes I feel as if we as a people, we're strong, but it's like sometimes the strong get weak. So Morgan, I feel like when you made the title of this, I did feel a little apprehensive to join the group because I'm just like, oh, this is some BS, because not even just as an alum, but I'm just like, this is not something I want to participate in. But as a person who's doing a lot of work on myself, I came in here with an open mind to hopefully understand and to hear your perspective, which I think I have done in a great way in the time that I have spent here. So with all that being said, I came to offer some services to you because I know you said you do feel as if you don't make a lot of positive spaces in the entertainment industry. I do know of three spaces where I participate myself, where you can possibly join us because it's open to the LGBTQ community as well as just people brown and black who feel as if they're misfortunate in the country. One is called Reach LA. Another one is SoCal Club. I'm not sure where you're based. I'm here in LA, but as well as, did I already say Reach LA? And then I know a friend of Yolo Robinson. He started Beam LA, which is in partnership with UCLA. So it's all about just the progression of our mental health and awareness in not only our livelihood, but just in society. So if I can offer you anything as a member of multiple, okay, multiple uh, generations and more so just like of multiple groups. I wanted you to feel as if you have help and support because it does take a big person to do what you're doing. And I just want to let you know that if I could connect with you off, I may have some opportunities for you and possibly able to connect you to some people who can help you because I do have a lot of trans friends who are doing positive, impactful things in their communities as well as the entertainment industry. So I just want to I wanted to talk to you in front of all these people to let you know that I can help you. So Morgan, if you need help, let me help you, please, because I can show you that Howard produces people who are helpful as well as very boastful and proud. Okay, because HB to the day I die. All right.
Thank you, me. She
Thank
did
you,
have
Meech.
something
That
to
was lovely.
contribute. Over here talking about Priestley said everything. You had some more stuff to add.
I just want him to know he's not alone. You are not alone. Michael Jackson told us that. Okay.
Oh, and that's on period.
Thank you for
Morgan,
your
I know you
opinion.
said you were waiting until everybody finished to say what you had to say. So what you got to say, Morgan? Morgan, girl, stop playing with me. You said you had something to say.
I just want to say this is crazy. This is wild. Something to say.
But see, Rhea, we already knew.
Nah, but like it got deep and it got
It
crazy.
did.
Like literally the current president of my university made a room in direct.
I'm in a meeting right now. Hold on, y'all.
Okay.
Uh,
Go ahead. What you saying, Maria?
I just said that to my fellow Howard alum who are in the room. Just know I don't agree with the title, blah, blah, blah. If y'all been in this room long enough, you know how I felt about this, how I stand on it. Wayne Frederick currently has a room called Howard is a Proud HBCU. If you want to tap in with him, he's letting everybody up on the stage to kind of talk about their different Howard experiences. So please do that. Yeah, I mean, I feel like Brittany, Pierre, Bobby, y'all done heard me yell my fucking through my
Yes, we
teeth
know.
about
Oh,
Howard
yes,
this whole time.
ma'am. Yes,
And
ma'am.
I definitely made a really big point to bring up Howard alum, especially people that I knew in different walks of life, different types of lives, to make sure they were able to communicate points that maybe I wasn't reiterating to all of you the best way when we were in that smaller room. I really do hope that y'all walked away with more knowledge about Howard University and understanding that calling us a PWI HBCUs is very destructive and it's painful and it's a lot. Like, and then also that we are HBCU that also goes through struggles, and you understand our community outreach and understand the different aspects of what we do as a university. I really do hope that you have better experiences with Howard students going forward or Howard alum going forward, and then also just don't make a generalization of us all. I really hope that y'all got something out of this room because really this shit was crazy as hell as a Howard alum. But I hope that non-Howard people who felt this way or had these notions about Howard were able to see that like there's way more to us than these bigger donations and these big names that y'all put with us.
Totally agree. I just wanted to hear what Morgan had to say. Because, I mean, I've already said what I had to say about it. I don't necessarily agree that Howard is a PWI. I just think that they're held to a different standard, a different caliber. And I mean, there's not anything wrong with that. But comparing it to a PWI to me is, again, like kind of like a slap in the face because as an HBCU alum, you know, we fought so hard. Like, let's take it a step back. We all go through the same thing. We all go through the shuffle with the financial aid, the organization, the all the BS of going to HBCU. We understand that. That is what makes it a part of our experience. I think that, and I don't know about Morgan, but for me, it's a privilege that comes with saying I'm a Howard alum. There is a privilege that goes along with it. There was a doctor in here earlier, and she did, you know, agree to that. There is a privilege that comes along with it, but that is not a fault of the student body. And I think that's what the problem is. A lot of this angst or anger is misguided. It has nothing to do with the student body. It's not their fault that there's a privilege that comes with that name. The same way how, you know, white people, there's a privilege that comes with saying I went to Harvard. You know what I mean? It's not their
I hear that.
fault.
I
You
hear
know
that,
what I
but it's the
mean?
same
So I
argument.
think go
I
ahead.
hear that. I'm gonna say I hear what you're saying. That's the same argument that happens on Twitter, bro. People love to talk about
Yeah.
Howard all day on Twitter, but like at no point in that argument do you ever bring up your HBCU. But then you
Right.
got like 2 million Howard alum at your neck, yeah, because we living rent free, bro. We're living mortgage free, rent free, no groceries in the fridge and in people's minds sometimes, and it's not fair. What I will say is we
No
can
groceries. I
highlight
hate you.
that Mackenzie Scott donated to 14
Yes.
HBCUs today.
Period. I want y'all to
Alcorn,
know that.
Bowie State, Claflin, Clark Atlanta,
Yes.
Delaware State, Dillard,
Yes.
Elizabeth City,
The people
Lincoln,
that don't know who
Pennsylvania,
Mackenzie Scott is, that is Jeff Bezos' ex-wife who ran
Morgan
off
of
with the bag.
Norfolk,
Okay.
Perryview A&M, Tougaloo, VSU, and Winston-Salem. So
Period.
let's highlight how my good sis, who is Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, donated
Yes.
14 HBCUs. I really do want to see what Morgan has to say. Bobby, I'm also pretty curious what you have to say because you came in very early with a lot of static, and I really hope you learned a lot more towards the end because it sounded like your whole stance changed as the conversation went by.
Oh, was Morgan gonna come? Well,
No,
I'll
Morgan's
just
in a
listen to
meeting,
Morgan.
so you go ahead, Bobby.
Oh, well, my opinion, well, yeah, like in the beginning, I still have a lot of my reservations when it comes to Howard, how they're perceived at the elitists. But again, like for most people who wasn't here in the beginning, it's my personal experience that views my opinion. You feel me? It's not just me just saying, oh, this is just how it is without me having my own personal experience. So all my opinions for the experience. Yes, I learned a lot when it comes to endowment, but a part of me, I still feel like there's more that Howard could do for a community. Yes, Howard does a lot for the DC community, but as an HBCU community, like I feel like they should do more. But like more people say, this is only like an hour, and I was here this whole time, so I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna do my research. But for now, my opinion still stands to a point.
So your personal opinions about how certain people at Howard treated you is still how you feel about an entire university. That's what we're sticking with.
I stick with my experience until proven wrong. So when
So
I
you've never
personally
had a
get
good
back,
experience with anybody from Howard? Like all these people in this room that
no,
have had
I'm
something to
not
say.
talking about like personally. I'm talking about when I get back into a business perspective, and I'm actually competing with a Howard person, and I don't have the employers physically coming up to me and telling me these people did not pick you in the group because you don't go to Howard. Then my opinion will change. But until then, with my experience, that happened, and these employers coming to me and saying because you did not go to Howard, this is why they are a little bit more ahead of you. My opinion still stands. Like most people,
So
they say
here's
in the
my question.
And
I
document.
would like
I
to
just
know who are these employers that are telling you directly, like, we did not hire
Yeah,
you
because
because you
I
did
don't know
not go to
any
Howard.
employer that's
Because I've
telling you
never
why.
heard nothing like that before in my life.
Not only that, but I don't know an employer who tell you why you didn't get
That
hired.
too.
Generally speaking, so
So are
again,
we
and
like,
I
you
feel
know, for a
like,
Okay,
fact
so
it was because you didn't go to
and
Howard, or
also,
is it because of your accolades?
hold on, Brittany, and then
wait,
also
I'm
to
sorry.
that
Hold on.
point,
There
I
was more
feel
than one
like,
question. Hold on.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No,
Okay,
you was asking your question.
no, I was gonna say is I felt as though in this conversation you learned so many different things from different Howard students to explain the perspective and explain the whole difference between classism and us being a whole like elitist university. I think we had a whole conversation about that. And what I was getting from it was it seemed like you were understanding and taking in and learning so much. So I'm very interested and confused why you still kind of circle back to your original point.
And I think Pierre has something to say too. Pierre, were you saying something?
Hey, y'all! I want to jump in real quick.
Damn, Morgan.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure my hair out and all of this right now. I
Go
just finally
ahead.
got done saying my part in the meeting. I want to thank everybody who came in this room and shared their thoughts and opinions. I recognize that a lot of y'all have privilege, or not even privilege, an appreciation, of your HBCU and your HBCU experience. Um, I guess I've hardened over the last few years, especially being a HBCU graduate and recognizing that me and my executive director right now at Brave Space Alliance both attended Tennessee State University, and we both were closeted Black trans women. So we were not allowed to be our full self until we left the university, and I think that happens far too often. I appreciate and respect that people were affected and offended by the title. I do think that this particular title is what got people in the room, and that's a good thing, because we were able to have a discussion. I encourage people to have more discussions that might challenge your mind, but also might challenge your might just challenge your place within it all. Privilege is something that once you acknowledge that you have it, then you can start working on solutions. But until we actually do recognize the privilege that some of us have, which I think that Howard alums have, um, I think that there's no way that we can actually talk about actual solutions. Um,
But there was tons of people who got on the stage talking about solutions, though, Morgan.
Yeah, some had solutions, but Pierre has something to say, and I want to hear it.
Dang, y'all just gonna cut me off? I ain't even finished.
You came in to cut us off, Morgan.
Because it's my room.
I thought Morgan was gonna do the fabulous sign off, but
okay. No, Pierre, you can go. I'm sorry for cutting you off. That's my birthday twin, by the way.
Hey, Gemini. I just wanted
Wrong,
to
Gemini.
I just wanted to piggyback off what Bobby was saying. I don't share the same opinions as her, but one thing I noticed with Howard students is, and this is just going by what you said, Rhea, When people have issues with, like, personal issues with Howard, and their students, y'all quickly and blame those certain people. Like Bobby just said, she met people who were elitists, and y'all saying, oh, that's your personal opinions about personal people. But when someone does good at Howard, that one person automatically represents the whole institutions. I just think it's funny because I heard a lot of people come up here and they basically ignored Morgan's issue with Howard, and they basically took it down to a personal issue versus a whole. And I just think it's crazy that when people do good at y'all school, it's a whole. But if someone is being transphobic or if someone is being, elitist, then it's, oh, that person. When I feel like as a whole, if y'all go celebrate one's victory as a whole, y'all need to be responsible and say, oh, our school is infamously known for being transphobic and homophobic as a whole.
Okay, so I feel like that. Okay, so one, the thing about being transphobic and homophobic, I think that's a larger issue within HBCUs, as a larger issue within Black people. And I will admit and say that there are not safe spaces for trans and homophobic, or not trans and homophobic,
I get it. I
trans
get it.
and
We
LGBT.
get it.
Yeah, I was like, you get what I was trying to say. My bad. I know that Howard particularly has Cascade, and they have a lavender ball where they do a lot of different foundations. I was not a part of that. I was not a steering member, so I can't speak on it as much. But I do know that we have Cascade, and we do have tons of things that are supposed to be helping the LGBTQAIA community at Howard University. However, Pierre, just to kind of answer what you were saying, was that I think my girl Nyla made a really good point about saying that if somebody came into a university classes, they gonna leave it classes. So I'm not taking away from Bobby's experience. I could understand that. I've met people from tons of different universities who made me feel a way, but I can't sit here and then make a blanketed statement about a whole university. The same way you can't make a blanketed statement because some good thing happened to you. Like, I can't make those blanketed statements. The issue that I've had since before this room started, Bobby and Brittany could tell you, was that calling Howard a PWI of an HBCU is a wild ass fucking statement and is disrespectful and is crazy as hell, which is something I've stood on and had about this whole conversation. When we got
Can we
into the
please
talk
not use
about
the
money,
term
though,
crazy, real? Can we please not use the
okay,
term
I'm not going to
crazy?
use the word crazy. It's wild. I
Okay.
feel like it's disrespectful, and I think it's very demeaning to what an HBCU is. That is my feeling, and I think that was most of the sentiments that I got from people on the stage, even non-Howard alum who got on stage. There was FAMU people. There was definitely tons of other people that I know who came on stage and had those sentiments. In terms of Bobby, when we were speaking, we talked a lot about the money that Howard got, and that was a big part of your conversation. And I do know that you're saying that we need to do more for our HBCU community, but it's like you also diminished how much we do for the DC community. So I understand that point, and I'm not here to argue that point. I do think all HBCUs need more money and different things like that, and they need to work on funding and different things. I'm not going to argue that with no one, because there's HBCUs closing. There's Fayetteville who's low key becoming a PWI because of how all the different things are working. So I'm not going to argue that with you, but we've also done a lot. Like, it's just really hard for me to hear some of these conversations because it's like, yo, you PWI of HBCU is still wild. In terms of how much money that we get in, I think several people on this stage broke down what an endowment even looks like and how that gets transferred within the different grad programs, the hospital, student body. It literally got broke down so many times to put that I don't need to reiterate that. So what I was trying to get to Bobby was I feel like she had an original stance. I heard her continue as the conversation went by, kind of seemingly change that stance and kind of see this different perspective. So I'm wondering why we're circling back into that same stance. That is what I'm asking.
I don't see it circling back because I can't completely change my stance if I don't do the research. If I'm doing the research right now, I'm gonna stay in my stance until I finish my research. So this is why I stated earlier. I heard everybody. I absorbed everybody's information, and I'm doing the research. But my opinion still stands because I am doing the research.
On what particularly? I'm just asking.
On my original stance, just like you said, the money of the situation. See what Howard has done with other HBCUs. I heard everybody, and I still, like the doctor said, there was a Howard hospital I wasn't aware of. So what y'all did with the DC community, yes, I heard that, and I'm knowledgeable. But right now, like I said before, this is what I'm doing research on. Everything everybody said.
So you didn't know that we had a hospital?
I truly did not know, but I'm not from the East Coast, so That's a different thing.
I would like to say this as the moderator of the room. I knew y'all at the hospital. I did work in DC. I worked directly with Howard University for a little while when I was in DC. Um, and like I said, I typed that title and I stand by that title. Obviously, I might have my own little biases and internalized things that I am dealing with, but I'm not about to sit here and backtrack. And I definitely think that I have every right to not do that. With
Yes,
the
you do.
large, no, I have every right to stand how I feel, and I think that that is important. I definitely appreciate everybody's perspective, and I definitely appreciate what everyone said. Um, we are going to close this room now, but I definitely do value all of you all. If you want to reach out to me on my DMs, want to reach out to me on Twitter, you can do that. All right, and the room is shutting down now.